The accusation spread through the luxury department store faster than fire through dry timber. Every employee stopped working as security guards surrounded Amelia Hart, a curvy inventory specialist whose careful hands had protected millions of dollars worth of designer jewelry for 3 years without a single mistake. Customers whispered while phones lifted into the air, recording every trembling second. A velvet jewelry case lay open on the marble floor, its most valuable diamond necklace missing. The regional manager pointed directly at Amelia with a smile that looked disturbingly satisfied. "Search her." Gasps rippled through the showroom as humiliation crashed over her like icy water. She had done nothing wrong, yet every suspicious glance told her the verdict had already been decided. Before anyone could protest, security reached for her handbag and somewhere in the crowd, someone quietly pressed the button to begin a live stream that would change countless lives. Amelia stood perfectly still despite the burning sting behind her eyes. Years of being judged for her size had taught her that panic only gave cruel people more entertainment. She wore a simple navy dress, sensible shoes, and the employee badge she had once been proud to carry. Her parents had raised her to meet cruelty with dignity, even when dignity felt unbearably heavy. She inhaled slowly as cameras captured every expression. The guards emptied her bag onto the polished floor. Lip balm. A notebook filled with inventory codes. A packed lunch. A tiny sewing kit. Then, to everyone's shock, the missing diamond necklace slipped from a hidden pocket sewn inside the lining. The crowd erupted. "She stole it." "I knew something was off." She looked nervous. Amelia stared at the necklace as though it belonged to another universe. She had never seen it outside the display case. Someone had planted it. She knew it with absolute certainty, yet certainty meant nothing against public humiliation. "You're fired," the regional manager announced loudly enough for every phone microphone to capture. "Call the police." Amelia looked directly at him instead of lowering her head. "I didn't steal anything," she said steadily. "Check the security footage from the inventory vault before you accuse an innocent person." His confident smile flickered for a heartbeat. "No need," he replied too quickly. That single hesitation planted the first seed of doubt inside her. Unknown to everyone in the showroom, one man had already noticed it. High above the sales floor, behind dark privacy glass overlooking the flagship store, stood Luca Moretti. Officially, he was the billionaire investor considering the retail chain's acquisition. Unofficially, he ruled one of Europe's most powerful mafia syndicates. His charcoal suit looked flawlessly tailored, his expression unreadable. Around him, heavily armed bodyguards remained silent while executives nervously explained quarterly profits. Luca ignored every financial projection. His cold gray eyes remained fixed on the woman downstairs who refused to beg. "She asked for footage," he murmured. "She'll confess eventually," an executive answered. Luca didn't respond. Fear usually revealed guilt. Calmness often revealed truth. He had built an empire by recognizing the difference. Meanwhile, Amelia was escorted through the crowded lobby as reporters arrived outside. Questions flew like bullets. "Why did you steal it? How long have you been doing this? Any comment?" She refused to answer. Every accusation cut deeply, yet something inside her insisted that surrender would make the real criminal untouchable. As the police prepared paperwork, an elderly janitor quietly approached Amelia. "They changed the camera schedule this morning," he whispered. "Someone ordered maintenance where there wasn't any." Before she could ask another question, he hurried away, terrified someone had seen them speaking. Her pulse quickened. This had been planned. Someone wanted her destroyed. Minutes later, a black armored sedan rolled to the entrance. Every security guard instantly straightened. Every executive fell silent. Luca Moretti emerged with effortless authority, his polished shoes clicking across the marble floor like the countdown to an execution. Conversations died before he spoke. He stopped directly in front of Amelia. "You're the woman who requested evidence instead of mercy." She met his gaze without flinching. "Because evidence tells the truth." A faint spark of curiosity crossed his otherwise emotionless face. "My company doesn't tolerate thieves," he said. "Neither do I." The surrounding executives exchanged nervous glances. No one had ever answered Luca Moretti so directly and remained standing. He stepped closer. "If I discover you're lying, you'll wish the police had taken you. And if I'm telling the truth?" His silence stretched long enough to make everyone uncomfortable. Finally, he turned toward his head of security. "Cancel the arrest." The regional manager's face turned pale. "But sir?" "I said cancel it." Luca looked back at Amelia. You have exactly 48 hours to prove your innocence. He opened the rear door of the armored sedan himself. You're coming with me. Amelia looked at the waiting vehicle, the armed security team, and the mysterious billionaire whose eyes held secrets darker than the accusation that had shattered her life. Taking one step toward that car meant leaving the ordinary world forever. She climbed inside just as a hidden sniper adjusted his rifle from the rooftop across the street and whispered into his radio, "Target has entered the wolf's den. Proceed with Phase 2. The armored sedan glided through the rain-soaked streets as silence settled between Amelia Hart and Luca Moretti. Outside, the glittering skyline faded behind tinted windows while a convoy of black security vehicles surrounded them like moving walls. Amelia folded her hands in her lap, refusing to let fear control her breathing. Luca studied her reflection rather than her face. Most people begged him for mercy within minutes. She had spent the entire drive watching intersections, memorizing routes, and quietly observing the disciplined movements of his security team. "You're analyzing everything," he finally said. "I always do," Amelia replied. "Details keep innocent people alive." A faint, almost invisible smile touched the corner of his mouth. The convoy entered a heavily guarded estate hidden behind towering iron gates. The mansion resembled a private palace, with white marble staircases, sculpted gardens, armored patrol vehicles, and discreetly positioned snipers watching every entrance. Luxury surrounded every corner, yet Amelia noticed something else first. The guards trusted routines too much. Every patrol passed the same checkpoint at identical intervals. Predictable patterns created dangerous weaknesses. Inside the mansion, Luca introduced her to his inner circle. Some welcomed her politely, but others looked at her with poorly disguised contempt. "She doesn't belong here," muttered Vittorio, Luca's chief financial officer. "She was accused of theft this morning," added Isabella, the elegant director of public relations. "Perhaps she's simply clever enough not to get caught before." Amelia ignored them. Respect could never be demanded. It had to be earned. Luca assigned her a guest suite instead of a prison cell. "You have access to the archives, accounting offices, and surveillance records," he said. "Find whoever framed you. And if I uncover something that hurts your business?" Truth has never frightened me. The following morning began before sunrise. Amelia surprised everyone by entering the operations office carrying a notebook rather than making demands. She requested inventory records from the retail chain, delivery schedules, employee access logs, insurance claims, and maintenance reports. Her profession had never been glamorous. She was an elite forensic accountant specializing in inventory fraud, capable of finding financial lies hidden inside ordinary paperwork. Hours passed. Executives grew impatient. She remained focused. By afternoon, she placed several documents across the conference table. "These signatures weren't forged," she explained calmly. "They were digitally copied from authentic approvals. Whoever framed me understands corporate accounting systems. The jewelry theft wasn't the objective." "What was?" Vittorio challenged. "A hostile takeover." Silence filled the room. She highlighted unusual insurance adjustments, inflated transportation expenses, and tiny accounting discrepancies repeated across dozens of stores. "Individually they're meaningless," she continued. "Together they move millions without attracting attention." Luca leaned forward. "You found this in one morning?" "I've spent my career following numbers instead of rumors." For the first time, genuine admiration appeared in his normally unreadable eyes. Over the next several days their routine slowly evolved. Every morning Amelia reviewed financial records. Every afternoon Luca invited her to strategic meetings. Every evening they shared quiet dinners overlooking the illuminated city. He noticed she thanked every servant. She noticed he never allowed children or innocent civilians to become collateral damage during syndicate operations. Neither mentioned those observations aloud. Trust formed through actions instead of promises. One evening, while reviewing shipment manifests together, Luca asked quietly, "Why didn't you cry when they humiliated you?" Amelia looked through the glass wall toward the city lights. "I did. You never showed it. I learned years ago that cruel people mistake tears for surrender. I decided they would never enjoy that victory again." His expression softened. "You've survived more than false accusations." She nodded once. "So have you." Neither asked for further explanations. The conversation somehow revealed more than words could. Unfortunately, not everyone appreciated the growing respect between them. Isabella watched every interaction with increasing resentment. Vittorio secretly exchanged encrypted messages after midnight. Several guards whispered that Luca was becoming distracted. Across the city, inside an abandoned cathedral converted into a command center, rival Mafia leader Adrian Volkov studied photographs of Amelia pinned beside surveillance images of Luca. "She isn't just a guest anymore," he observed. "No," replied a masked assassin. "She's becoming useful. Then remove her before she becomes indispensable." Back at the estate, Amelia continued investigating the theft. Late one night she entered the digital archives searching for maintenance requests from the day she had been framed. A deleted file unexpectedly reappeared after an automatic backup restored corrupted records. Someone had overlooked one detail. The maintenance authorization carried Vittorio's executive credentials. Yet the timestamp proved the request had been submitted while Vittorio was publicly attending a televised charity gala across the city. His credentials had been used remotely. Either someone had stolen his authorization, or Vittorio himself had arranged an elaborate alibi. Before Amelia could copy the evidence, footsteps echoed behind her. She quickly minimized the screen. A young security analyst entered carrying coffee. "You're still working?" "Yes." He smiled politely before leaving. Something about his expression unsettled her. Minutes later she reopened the file. It had vanished completely. Not deleted. Erased. Someone else was inside the system at the same time. Her heartbeat accelerated. She searched network activity logs. An unauthorized remote connection had remained active for exactly 11 minutes. Someone inside the estate was feeding information to an outside source. At that exact moment, beyond the mansion's outer wall, a long-range camera captured Amelia standing beside Luca through the library windows. The photographer lowered the lens and spoke quietly into a concealed radio. "They're together. She found something." Static answered. Then a calm voice delivered the order. "Prepare the extraction team. Once dawn breaks, neither of them leaves the estate safely." Amelia looked toward the dark gardens, suddenly overwhelmed by the unmistakable feeling that unseen eyes were already watching every move she and Luca made. Dawn had barely touched the horizon when the peaceful silence surrounding the Moretti estate shattered beneath the scream of exploding steel. The front security gate erupted into a cloud of twisted metal as two armored SUVs crashed through the entrance. Gunfire echoed across the manicured gardens, sending birds into the gray morning sky while alarms wailed through the mansion like desperate warnings. Luca Moretti was already moving. Within seconds he pulled a concealed pistol from beneath his tailored jacket and issued calm, precise commands through his earpiece. His guards spread into defensive positions with military precision, but the attackers had anticipated every standard response. "They know our formation," one captain shouted. "We have a traitor," Luca answered coldly. Inside the library, Amelia froze for only a heartbeat before instinct replaced fear. She remembered every patrol pattern she had studied during her first days inside the estate. The assault wasn't random. Someone had planned it from the inside. Bullets shattered the tall windows. Glass exploded across the marble floor. Luca grabbed Amelia's wrist and pulled her behind an enormous stone fireplace just as another burst of automatic fire ripped through the room. "Stay down," he ordered. "I can help. You'll stay alive." Outside, smoke grenades rolled across the gardens as masked mercenaries advanced toward the mansion. Their objective was clear, not robbery. They were coming for Luca. And now, for Amelia. A second explosion rocked the east wing. Emergency lights flickered. Security cameras suddenly went dark. "The surveillance network is offline," a technician yelled over the radio. Amelia's eyes widened. "No," she whispered. She remembered the unauthorized system access from the previous night. "The cameras weren't hacked today," she said quickly. "They were compromised long before the attack. Whoever disabled them is following a financial authorization trail." Luca looked at her. "What do you mean?" "The emergency override requires executive approval. Every activation creates an encrypted accounting record. It can't be erased completely." "You can find it?" "I can find who paid for this." Without waiting for permission, Amelia sprinted toward the operations center while bullets hammered the hallway behind her. Two guards covered her advance as Luca fought through advancing gunmen with terrifying precision. Inside the command room, technicians struggled with dead monitors. Amelia ignored the chaos. She accessed the financial authorization server instead of the security network. "Everyone keeps searching cameras," she said. "I'm searching money." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Hidden payment authorizations appeared. Emergency maintenance. Generator testing. Private contractor invoices. Every false transaction pointed toward the same encrypted account. "There," Amelia breathed. She enlarged the payment trail. Someone inside the estate approved today's attack 3 weeks ago. The room fell silent. A sniper's bullet smashed through the command center window. One technician collapsed instantly. Luca rushed inside, shielding Amelia behind his body while his guards returned fire. Did you find them? She turned the monitor toward him. Follow this account. Every payment ends with the same authorization key. His chief intelligence officer stared at the screen. That key belongs to Vittorio. Before anyone could react, the office door burst open. Vittorio himself stood there holding a pistol. You should have remained a shop employee, he sneered. He fired. Luca shoved Amelia aside. The bullet tore through his shoulder instead. Chaos erupted. Guards exchanged gunfire inside the operations center while Vittorio escaped through a hidden service corridor. Amelia dropped beside Luca as blood stained his white shirt. You're hit. Just a shoulder. You're lying. She ripped open a medical emergency kit, pressing thick bandages against the wound while barking calm instructions to stunned guards. Keep pressure here. Don't move him. Someone secure the exits before Vittorio disappears. Her confidence silenced panic. Even experienced soldiers obeyed immediately. Within minutes, Luca was stabilized. He watched Amelia's steady hands. You saved my life twice today. You would have done the same. His expression softened in a way no one inside the room had ever witnessed. Outside, helicopters forced the remaining attackers into retreat. The first battle had ended. But the war had only begun. That evening, after doctors confirmed Luca would recover, he invited Amelia onto the mansion's rooftop terrace overlooking the glittering city. Waiting beside a candlelit table was a velvet box. She frowned. I didn't save you for gifts. I know. He opened the box. Inside rested an elegant platinum bracelet engraved with a single phrase. Never shrink. Amelia's breath caught. You remembered. I remember everything that matters. For the first time in years, tears threatened to escape. You told me I never needed to shrink myself, he continued quietly. Not for cruel people. Not for fear. Not for this world. She smiled through shining eyes. No one's ever believed in me like that. I do. Their eyes met across the candlelight. The distance between them disappeared. Slowly, carefully. Luca reached toward her face, gently brushing away a tear with his uninjured hand. You're brilliant, Amelia. His voice had lost every trace of command. You're stronger than anyone gives you credit for. The air seemed to stop moving. She could hear only her heartbeat. Just as she leaned closer, a deafening explosion erupted beneath the terrace. The entire mansion trembled. A panicked guard burst through the doors. Boss. His face had turned ghostly pale. They've taken one of our men alive. He swallowed hard before delivering the words that froze every heartbeat on the rooftop. And he says the assassin sent to kill you is already inside this house. 3 days after the attack, the Moretti estate looked untouched, but every corridor carried the memory of gunfire. Reinforced glass replaced shattered windows, security doubled at every entrance, and loyalty was questioned with every passing glance. The captured soldier had revealed only one terrifying truth before dying from a concealed poison capsule. Someone trusted by Luca Moretti was feeding information directly to Adrian Volkov. Luca refused to hide. If we disappear, he told his counsel, our enemies win without firing another shot. Instead, he proceeded with the annual Moretti Foundation Charity Gala, an event attended by politicians, international executives, judges, and the most influential families in Europe. Publicly, it celebrated hospitals and scholarships. Privately, it was where alliances were forged and power quietly shifted. Amelia hesitated when she entered the dressing suite prepared for her. Rows of designer gowns lined the walls. Diamond jewelry sparkled beneath crystal lights. Professional stylists waited respectfully. I don't belong in any of this, she whispered. Luca stepped inside wearing a perfectly tailored black tuxedo. They'll expect you to shrink yourself again. She looked down. They always do. He gently lifted her chin. Then disappoint them. He selected an elegant deep red evening gown that celebrated rather than concealed her curves. It was graceful instead of revealing, paired with understated diamond earrings and the platinum bracelet engraved with Never Shrink. You're not dressing like someone asking permission to exist, he said softly. You're walking in as the woman who saved my life. For the first time, Amelia believed him. The ballroom fell silent when they arrived. Hundreds of guests turned toward the grand staircase. Instead of walking several steps behind Luca, Amelia descended beside him. Confident. Radiant. Whispers spread through the room. Isn't that the woman accused of stealing? She looks completely different. Why would Moretti bring her here? Isabella smiled politely while hiding obvious frustration. Vittorio's chair remained empty. No one mentioned his disappearance. During dinner, a renowned investment banker questioned Amelia with obvious condescension. So, Miss Hart, inventory work must be quite simple. Several guests laughed quietly. Amelia smiled without embarrassment. Only until millions disappear because someone underestimates inventory controls. The laughter stopped. She calmly explained how financial manipulation could destabilize multinational corporations without anyone noticing until it was too late. Executives who had dismissed her minutes earlier now leaned forward, asking thoughtful questions. Even rival business leaders nodded with reluctant respect. Luca watched in silence. He had conquered cities through fear. She conquered rooms through intelligence. Later that evening, the gala transitioned into a private Mafia council meeting attended only by trusted allies. Maps, financial reports, and intelligence briefings covered a massive oak table. Some older capos openly objected to Amelia remaining inside. She isn't family. She knows too much. She has no seat here. Before Luca could answer, Amelia quietly requested permission to speak. She projected shipping records onto the screen. The attacks against the Moretti syndicate aren't isolated. She connected financial transfers, port schedules, insurance claims, and shell companies across 4 countries. This isn't simply Adrian Volkov. She circled several hidden transactions. Someone is financing both criminal organizations simultaneously. They're creating chaos so they can acquire weakened businesses afterward. One elderly capo slowly stood. In 30 years, he admitted, I've never seen anyone uncover a financial war this quickly. Another nodded. She just saved us from fighting the wrong enemy. Luca rose from his chair. Without hesitation, he crossed the room and stood beside Amelia instead of at the head of the table. My decision is final, he declared. She stands with me. No one argued again. For a brief moment, Amelia felt something she had almost forgotten. Belonging. But outside the estate, Adrian Volkov prepared his most dangerous move. If she can't be discredited, he said coldly, she'll become bait. As the gala concluded, guests departed beneath flashing cameras and elegant smiles. Amelia entered the armored limousine with Luca. Halfway toward the estate, traffic suddenly stopped beneath an elevated bridge. Luca's security chief frowned. This route should be clear. A delivery truck jackknifed it across the road. The first rocket slammed into the lead escort vehicle. Fire erupted into the night. Automatic weapons opened from both sides of the bridge. Ambush, someone shouted. Armored doors locked automatically. Bodyguards returned fire while smoke swallowed the highway. Another explosion overturned the rear escort. The limousine rocked violently. Masked attackers surrounded the convoy. One slammed explosives against the vehicle. Luca pulled Amelia behind him. No matter what happens, stay with me. The blast ripped open the side of the limousine. Before security could react, stun grenades exploded inside the smoke. Visibility vanished. Hands grabbed Amelia. She fought desperately, striking one attacker with the heavy metal case containing council documents. The briefcase burst open. Financial reports scattered across the burning roadway. In the chaos, Amelia noticed one document sliding beneath a fallen attacker's boot. It carried the same encrypted authorization code she had traced days earlier, but beneath it appeared a new signature. Isabella. The elegant public relations director. Not Vittorio. She was the real architect still inside Luca's organization. Amelia tore the page free before rough hands dragged her backward. Luca, she screamed. He broke through 2 attackers, firing with relentless precision, but another armored van crashed between them. Their eyes met for one desperate second. Then the van doors slammed shut around Amelia. As it sped into the darkness, she clutched the blood-stained document against her chest, while Luca dropped to one knee on the burning highway, surrounded by wreckage, realizing the woman who had become the heart of his empire had just been stolen before his eyes. The abandoned shipyard echoed with crashing waves and distant thunder as dozens of black SUVs surrounded the rusting warehouses. Floodlights cut through the darkness while helicopters circled overhead. Luca Moretti stood at the front of his army, his injured shoulder heavily bandaged, his expression colder than the steel in his hands. Every loyal captain waited for a single command. Bring her home, Luca said quietly. Within seconds, the Moretti syndicate launched its assault. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Armored vehicles smashed through reinforced gates while elite security teams stormed the compound. Adrian Volkov's mercenaries answered with rockets and automatic weapons, turning the shipyard into a battlefield of smoke, sparks, and shattered concrete. Inside the central warehouse, Amelia Hart sat bound to a steel chair beneath harsh lights. Her wrists were bruised, but her spirit remained unbroken. Isabella stood nearby, her elegant appearance finally stripped away to reveal ruthless ambition. "You should have accepted being humiliated," Isabella sneered. "Instead, you ruined everything." "You ruined yourself," Amelia replied calmly. "You'll never leave here." Amelia looked toward the scattered documents on a nearby desk. "You made one mistake." Isabella laughed. "Only one. You believed money never tells the truth." Confusion flickered across Isabella's face. Before the kidnapping convoy had escaped, Amelia had hidden the original financial authorization inside the lining of the platinum bracelet Luca had given her. The kidnappers had searched her thoroughly, but they had dismissed the bracelet as sentimental jewelry. Now it carried the evidence connecting Isabella, Adrian Volkov, and every fraudulent payment that had funded the attacks. Outside, explosions shook the building. "The Morettis are here," someone shouted. Adrian Volkov stormed into the room. "Kill her now." Before Isabella could raise her pistol, the warehouse doors exploded inward. Luca entered through smoke and flying debris, surrounded by his elite guards. A furious gunfight erupted. Bullets ricocheted from steel containers while bodyguards exchanged relentless fire with Volkov's mercenaries. Luca moved with terrifying precision, protecting every innocent hostage while forcing the attackers backward. Adrian attempted to escape through the loading docks. Amelia spotted him reaching toward a detonator connected to explosives planted beneath the warehouse. "Luca!" Her warning came just in time. Using the sharp edge hidden inside the metal clasp of her bracelet, Amelia cut through the restraints binding her wrists. She rolled behind a support column, grabbed the scattered financial files, and hurled a heavy toolbox into Adrian's arm. The detonator flew across the floor. Luca reached it first. He kicked it safely away as one of his guards secured the explosives. Adrian fired wildly. Luca disarmed him with a single precise shot, sending the pistol sliding across the concrete. Cornered, Adrian lunged toward Amelia instead. "She dies with me." Amelia stepped aside at the last second. Adrian crashed into stacked cargo crates that collapsed around him. Before he could recover, Moretti guards restrained him. Across the room, Isabella attempted to flee through a side exit. Amelia intercepted her. "You framed an innocent woman. You'll never prove it." Amelia calmly removed the bracelet and revealed the hidden authorization document. "I already have." Moments later, Luca's intelligence team recovered encrypted servers, payment records, and communications confirming Isabella and Vittorio had secretly financed both criminal organizations to profit from the chaos. Every betrayal was exposed. Every conspirator was arrested or defeated. The war was finally over. Days later, the Moretti estate welcomed leaders, allies, employees, and the very staff from the luxury department store where Amelia had been publicly humiliated. This time, they gathered in the mansion's grand garden beneath white roses and crystal lights. The former regional manager stood among the guests, unable to meet Amelia's eyes. Luca walked toward her before everyone present. Instead of standing above her, he slowly dropped to one knee. The entire garden fell silent. "Amelia Hart," he said, his voice steady but deeply emotional, "you walked into my life accused of stealing. Instead, you gave me something no fortune could ever buy. You gave me truth, courage, hope, and a reason to become more than a man feared by the world." His eyes never left hers. "You never needed to become smaller to fit into my world." He opened a velvet box holding a breathtaking diamond ring. "I want to build a better world with you. Will you stand beside me, not behind me, as my wife, my equal, and the queen of everything we protect?" Tears filled Amelia's eyes. "Yes." The applause that followed echoed through the gardens. Luca slipped the ring onto her finger before rising and embracing her as the guests celebrated. Months later, Amelia officially became chief financial strategist of the Moretti Group, transforming both its legitimate businesses and charitable foundation with transparency and integrity. She wasn't respected because she married a powerful man. She was respected because she had earned her place. Together, she and Luca built schools, hospitals, and businesses that gave ordinary families opportunities neither of them had known growing up. Their empire remained strong, but its greatest strength was no longer fear. It was loyalty. One quiet evening as they watched the sunset from the mansion balcony, Luca kissed Emilia's forehead and whispered, "You were never too much. You were always exactly enough." She smiled, resting her hand in his. "And you finally learned that love is the greatest power of all." Below them, the empire flourished, not because it had found a stronger ruler, but because it had found a wiser heart. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable Mafia romance stories. Tell us in the comments, what was your favorite moment? Emilia's courage, Luca's proposal, or the final victory over betrayal? Your support helps bring more cinematic love stories to life.